Now, what is, we're just asking now the second question. What is it? What's the logical framework approach? It is a reorganization of activities into an ordered hierarchy of goals, objectives, output, systematically communicating the principle, purpose. So the logical framework is just looking at how do you reorganize your whole idea. The framework is an instrument used for identifying project goal, purpose, output, for planning and describing the necessary activities and inputs. When you have this tool, as I've mentioned, it's just to help you reorganize the ideas or the reference material you have in your strategic plan and the proposal or the plan. The plan might be very huge document, but now for the purpose of implementation, you may need a framework, a tool and a guide that is very critical. So log frame is aimed at producing consistent project design. The main purpose of the logical framework is a consistent design. A consistent design, and it is a methodology for conceptualizing projects and in an analytic tool that has power to communicate complex projects. When you have this particular tool, you find that it has the capability to bring in one page or one sheet or a few sheets the entire design. When we'll be looking at some of the critical elements of the design, you'll realize that when you get down to writing a notice, you can easily get lost, or you might misplace one or two items. But now the logical framework presents a precise tool like a checklist. A checklist. One of the greatest tool in management is a checklist. So the log framework will provide with that. It is an open set of tools, again, for project design and management. Why do we call it design tool? Because it will help you understand what is needed and what is it. Why do we call it for management? It is for management purposely because you will be referred to it time and again to be able it assigns the main critical thing about the log frame is that it has a clear and rational framework for planning,
Mother, kindly mute.
envision the activities, and determine how to measure project success while taking into consideration external and internal affairs. Now, the external affairs will be seen when you look at one, the risks, two, the assumptions, three, the dependencies. When they are in a dormant state, those external issues will be defined as risks. Any uncertainty that might occur and affect the project either negatively or positively. When they are in dormant state, they just be defined as a possible conflict. But the moment they become active, they occur, they graduate from just being risks into issues. They become now an issue. You can't ignore an issue. So an issue is defined as a present risk or a failed assumption or a present conflict or a breach contract, anything that is not planned for or is not in the program or the project manager but has already happened, and because of its occurrence is affecting the flow of the project performance. That's an issue, a crisis. So the logical framework helps you to prepare and plan for those particular elements. It is clear and concise, special presentation of all key components of the plan and the basis for monitoring. When you have your logical framework, you'll have a clear images of what will be monitoring. We said monitoring is the regular collection and analysis of data of ongoing project, the one that's begun or ongoing, and that data, when it's analyzed, it becomes information. And when you use that information to make a decision, it graduates to knowledge. When we now use that knowledge repeatedly in making your decision, in improving the lives or improving the community as given in your program, it is wisdom. So you have a very clear way of understanding what data that will get into what information to give what knowledge for the purpose of being wise, because decisions are made by wise people. So the monitoring, how the project will work out, what it's going to achieve, what factors relate to its success, and how progress will be measured. When we mention success here, we have two areas of success. The first success is the project management success or the program management success, which means you have delivered your project in terms of either the product, result, or service on time, within budget, and did the work that was to be done completely. You were able to address risks. You were able to look at the quality measures very carefully. Now you have your project, your product with us, or your service with us. The second success that this unit will be able to give you, it is the project success. The project success in this regard, it means what you delivered as a result of, or as a deliverable from a project is now useful to the client, to the customer, or to the community. For instance, you did very well to bring about water in a given community. That's given. You did it on time and the material is good. But if this water is, people are not benefiting, it's not reaching to the households, they'll say the project failed because they are not seeing water. So its success is only now defined at this particular point in time if people are using it either for domestic or irrigation. So when we are looking at success, that's given the project a logical framework, it's to have you in the two perspectives I have mentioned. Then how will the progress be measured? It ensures relevancy, feasibility, and sustainability of the project. Relevancy, is it useful? Feasibility, can we achieve it? And sustainability, long after the development partner, the government has left the sea, can we continue enjoying the benefits of this particular project or program? If we can't, then it's unsustainable. If we can't, then it's sustainable. It ensures fundamental questions are asked and weaknesses are analyzed very clearly and beforehand. Then it identifies measurements, indicators for the project's achievement. That is what the logical framework is and what it does. The few characteristics that you allow me just to go through is that you're able to find the roots before setting the objectives. One, it is best with the understanding that if we look in our strategic document, we are headed somewhere. We are addressing an opportunity or a threat. So when you have the logical framework, you need to have a moment of looking what are the roots, what are the underlying things, factors, that when we set the objectives, we can start addressing them. It has objectives and beneficiary oriented. It actually looks at who are the beneficiaries. So whatever you are designing should be in favor of who will be the people or communities using this service. Why am I using the word service? Because the output of the project, either result or product, eventually is utilized as a service. For instance, you have built a road to community X. That's a product. What will be the service? Will be used for transport service. You have built classrooms for community-wide. That was your project. Yes, classrooms are complete. What will they be used for? For educational service. So when you talk about beneficiaries-oriented service, it's actually to look at the how will they enjoy the services, and the logical framework will be able to put it there. It's participatory and ownership. You engage, particularly the developers, to help in defining. To define here, I mean to be able to describe their situations in the language and the state they understand best, so that you can capture and put in any language, including computer language, English or whatever, for easy of transmission and communication. It is consensus oriented. We need to agree which terms are we putting in and how are we crafting them. Then focuses on logical links. How does it link from one state to the other, all the way from the impact objective to the outcome objective to the output objective and activities. They must be logical. They must be sensed, and then has a systematic common sense. Very a critical thing. One of the benefits that you have with this great tool we're calling logical framework approach is that it gives you a structured project design process, a structure in a way that you have a logical sequence interlinking the individual steps in the design process. Remember, you must explain why are you doing this and what are we expecting. So for you to answer that question in a very simple term, you put it in a tool which you're calling the framework that can help you filter each and every section. The other benefit is transparency, because when people can have what is on the paper, refer to it time and again, then they'll understand what is expected of them. But if you hide it with some codes, then they'll just be say, he has just done so, but you don't want to be there. It's participation or participative. All the stakeholders who are involved in the design. Okay, most of the time you may not involve everybody. For example, if you're putting up an ECD school for the young children, you'll now engage their parents or some elders, not necessarily the young children. The children, when later on when they come and just enjoy the benefit of that school, that's not their project. Was already done and dusted, but now enjoying the service that are there. It has a consistent project strategy. With this logical framework, you will be able to have a consistent strategy. What did we say a strategy is? How you are doing your things, what you have chosen to use. So it becomes consistent from all angles, because you have a clear link of cause and effect. A better way to assess risks and looking even at the assumptions. It has objectively verifiable indicators. The central part of the program monitoring, program evaluation, program assessment is the indicators. When all this other story has been said and the people have now kept quiet, it's now the indicators that we'll be looking at. That's why we are using the word objectively verifiable indicators. And I think we'll have a session again to look at now the central role of indicators in monitoring and how they are very, very critical, which means they'll be able to describe in measurable terms, empirically observable terms, and provide the basis for performance measurement and project monitoring and evaluation. These are the indicators, objectives in measurable terms. Then flexibility is one of the critical things again. In adapting to changing conditions that are of relevance to the project, the logical framework approach establishes this framework. Framework is a structure like a roadmap, like it's a roadmap, a guidepost, uh, the boundaries, the pillar to pillar, with which you can now have uh, your structure built on. Because it establishes a framework that makes the underlying rationale and assumptions transparent and helps to react to changes. You can now revise the design. Once you have put up your design, you realize that there are things that you start uh, improving and making it better. I want to invite somebody to help read now the summary of that approach, the use, advantages and disadvantages. Can I have a volunteer reading? Can I have a volunteer reading?
Okay, I'll go.
Yes, Petronila.
Yes, the logic framework approach. That's where I'll start. Now, the use. Improving quality of product and program designs by requiring the specification of clear objectives, the use of performance indicators, and assessment of risks. 2. Summarizing design of complex activities. 3. Assisting the preparation of detailed operational plans. 4. Providing objectives, basis for activity, review, monitoring, and evaluation. Advantages. 1. Ensure that decision makers ask fundamental questions and analyze assumptions and risks. 2. Engage stakeholders in the planning and monitoring process. 3. When used dynamically, okay, is it dynamically? Yes.
Dynamically, yes.
Yes, it's effective management tool to guide implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. Disadvantages, those are the merits. If managed rigidly, stifles creativity and innovation. 2, it's not updated during implementation. It can be static tool that does not reflect changing condition. Then 3, training and follow-up are often required. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. So these are the uses of this particular tool, improving quality. Thank you, Petronina. So you just find out with the logical framework, we improve the quality of the project. What is the quality of the project designs and program? What is the quality? The quality is defined as, according to ISO, it's defined as fit for use. It can make it usable for the purpose and the reason it has been set there. So when you're using logical framework, it makes the program design fit for use, so that you'll be able to keep very specific, um, require the specification of clear objectives. And when we're having the indicators and tools, very critical. It summarizes the complex activities to very simple, as we are going to see. Oh, very simple. And it assists now to as a reference tool for detailed operational plan. Very good. And then it gives you a basis for review for monitoring and evaluation. The advantages have been read, very easy for the decision makers. It is good for engaging stakeholders for planning, and when used very well, it is an effective management tool. However, you don't need to manage it rigidly. You need to be flexible. The moment you become rigid, the innovation. Remember, any organization learning, particularly uh, explicit learning or tacit learning, it happens as you continue to interact with the project or program activities. So if you become very rigid, such learning, and one of the things that you need to have is the knowledge transfer. If you are not learning from what we are doing, then we are not making better our decisions. So the data we are collecting and the information we are generating, we are not using it as knowledge. It's remaining as information, so be it. If not updated, it becomes static tool and it requires training. Anyway, training is very important and very necessary. Never ever ignore training. Now, the logical framework has the three that I want you to look at. The first component is it gives you a development objective. The development project describes the project's real outcome, the impact that the project's outputs will have on the beneficiary, institution, or a system in terms of changed behavior or improved performance. The development objectives defines the project success. I had mentioned that the outcome and the impact, the top level, I'll be able to show you how it looks like. This machine, what we call Google Meet, does not give me the privilege of whiteboard to play around with a few things. But I hope you understand that it has the development objective, which defines the project success. But then we have also the project output, which define what the project can be held directly accountable for producing, the project deliverable, the goods and services that it will produce, which are typically outputs are independent, synergistic, and integrated. And the project outputs are, they define what? Project management success. Project management success. So we have development objective and project objectives or project output. And then we have components below where we have clusters of activities that define how the products and services will be delivered. Where we need maybe this, where we need now the technical assistance, physical infrastructure, the human resource, they'll be consumed. So in this we have the activities and the input. That's how the whole logical framework approach appears and will be coming. I have a small diagram here. When we are saying the project output is with between year 0 and year 5. Let me see. Okay, that's okay. Year 0 and year 5, this is the life of the project. That's when you are on site. I see the tree has been growing. But now the impact, the development objective will be felt maybe 25 years later when the tree is big. If it was a school, it has so many graduations, it has expanded. It started maybe 200 students, now it has 300,000 students or 30,000, and everybody can now relate to it. That's just an example of development objective of sustainable timber production. You have grown your trees, they have matured, but after you have finished the 5th year, you let the community to continue managing up to the point they will harvest 25 years later when you have already left. Now, the logical framework has a matrix that has 4 columns. The first column is actually 4 by 4. The first column is the development objective or the intervention logic. The second is the indicators. The third column is always the means of verification or source of verification. The fourth is now the RAID. The RAID column is for risks, for assumptions, for issues, and independence. And we'll be able to demonstrate how each one of those 3 or 4 are coming in. So you realize that we have components here If you look at this particular description, I'm taking you back to the description. We have the development objective on the far end and the project objective and the components. So what you are seeing in this diagram, we start from the lower here. If and if the components, the inputs and activities are undertaken and we're able to deal with the risks and assumption, then the output will be achieved. If we meant we have to come to have the people trained as an output, then we need to conduct the training. And while the training is happening, we also need to look at what are the assumptions. The students attend the lessons and they put into consideration the trainings. Then we can have the development objective done. And the development objective is actually addressing the outcome and the impact. But as we address the outcome and the impact, it's now bringing us to the program objective category where we have now the country assistance strategy. It's actually fitting into the strategic plan or direction. That's how this diagram is telling us. So what we have here is that if you have the activities undertaken, be able to deliver the outputs, and then if you do the outputs, you achieve the purpose, and then the purpose contribute to the goal. So that's the same illustration to help you know that we have the goal and the purpose or the impact and the outcome. These are the development objectives, and then the outputs are the project outputs, and then the components I have mentioned. If you allow me to just to show you again the slide, is just to have a consistent view. That's how this diagram is helping us understand. Now, this is how the matrix is all about. We have the first column, the second, the third, and the fourth, and we have the development objectives we have mentioned. In this particular scenario, I'm using the term goal, which is the higher level objective towards which the project is expected to contribute. And then next to the goal, we have objectively verifiable indicators. This way you will put the indicators, measures direct or indirect to verify what extent the goal has been fulfilled. These are now the guidepost. And then means of verification, how will you be measuring that? That's the third column. Under goal, we have the source of data necessary to verify status of the goal level indicators. And then the assumptions here, I think I had not kept here, but what assumptions are you putting in place for this goal to be achieved at a higher level? Maybe the government continuous support or other agencies. And then below it, it's still under the objective, development objectives, the purpose. Purpose, the effect that is effect. Now, when we are talking about the purpose, in other literature, we use the word impact, outcome or purpose, depending on your orientation. Just even as the goal, there are those who are using goal, development goal, long-term goal, impact, depending on your. So when you see these other terms, they are synonyms in that particular category. So the purpose is the effort that is expected to be achieved as the result of the project. And then you have the purpose, objectively verifiable indicators, then means of verification, and the assumptions. The assumptions here, we are taking them to be important events, conditions, or decisions outside control of the project. Or what is being considered to be true. They may not be true. But I've said in this particular, we have the RAID, and I did mention that we have the risks in this particular column. We have the assumptions, and we have the dependencies, which of course at one point will graduate to issues. So these are the things that you keep on indicating for each and every level. Then you go to, as you go down, because of just the PowerPoint, I've broken down that you could have had on the same page, is the output. The result the project management should be able to guarantee. The project management. What were you doing here? We are drilling borehole. So these are we have drilled a borehole. Exactly as it is. The indicators, of course, now will be able to get the direct and indirect measures of that. Means of verification, how are you going to get that? I'm moving a little bit fast because I have the example so that we'll be able to look at it. And then below, for those who have seen the logical framework, is now the activities. And now, after the intervention logic, we have the activities, the tasks to be undertaken by the project in order to produce the outputs. Now, instead of the objectively verifiable indicators, we'll put now the input. What do you require? Actually, in other documents, either input or resources. So you have the resource, goods, people, and services. And then, under the column of means of verification, you can have the budget, specifically to provide now those resources. And this is where your technical assistance is needed. And the assumptions that are there. Below that, in that logical framework tool, you can now have the preconditions, important events, conditions outside the control of the project management necessary for the start of the project. What are the requirements or the conditions that must be met? Signing of the contract, solicitation of the service provider, the procurement, they can be preconditions. And that's how it is structured. Now, allow me to look at the sample of it that I've developed, I've actually extracted from a project on the logical framework for the Uganda Nutrition and Child Development Project. And allow me to invite somebody to help just take us through reading by the two. In this page, we have the development project. We are using the term impact and the outcome. And then we'll go to the next page where we'll be looking at now the project outputs. Allow me to invite somebody who could help now take us through this sample and see now how it fits our design on what I've mentioned, also practical aspects.
Okay. The sample logical framework for the Ugandan Nutrition and Child Development Project. It has 4 columns: impact, indicators, verification sources, and then assumption. In impact, 1, improved health, nutrition, and cognitive status of young children. Indicator 1.1, reduced prevalence of protein, energy malnutrition, measured underweight preschool children from 25% to 13% by 2025. Verification, how to verify, that is 1.1.1, national anthropometric survey. Assumption 1.1 will be impact to relevancy, other national programs in health, immunization, primary health care, food production, primary education, are then will achieve higher project impact, sustained synergy with these programs. Indicator number 2, 1.2 is reduced micronutrients deficiency by 50% in endemic areas, anemia problems. We have IDD prevalence reduced in children, reduced to 33%, worm load reduced to 50%, and aerophthalma reduced to 2% by 2025. Number 2, 1.3, not enrollment in grade 1 increased to 80% by 2025. From which source? 1.2.1, demographic and health survey. 1.3.1, school enrollment records. Outcomes, indicators, verification sources, and assumption. Improved children, the outcome is improved children, nutrition, and health services. It's indicated by the number of children reached by services. From which source? Annual project report. Under the assumption of outcome to impact, UNICEF maintains interest in partnership with project. Outcome number 2, improved income generation capacity for women. Indicated by the number of women reached by services. From which source? Annual project report. Under what assumption? Government signs child bill into law. Yes.
Good. Thank you, Robert. So this is how the design we have been mentioning in this particular slide, how it's coming about. Now we are giving example of the goal, the purpose, and the indicators and the means of verification. Let me say something on the impact. Now this is the statement you are describing your impact. What will be the impact of this Uganda Nutrition and Child Development Project? The impact that has been defined there is improved health, nutrition, and cognitive status of young children. There are several components there. Then how will we know that we have attained this? Reduced prevalence of protein, energy, malnutrition. And then measured by underweight preschool children from 25% to 13%. Where will we get this information? Verification sources, National Anthropometric Survey. You know the government normally have on the measurement of body weight across the country. We'll put that. And then what are some of the assumptions or the preconditions that will help us do that? You're saying that other national programs in health, the immunization program, primary health care, food production, primary education will continue so that we achieve the higher projects impact sustained synergy with this program. What we are saying that for us to have improved health care, besides just looking at what this particular project will be doing, and we'll be looking what is it that we will do to have that, we also depending on other intervention, like the food security, like the immunization across the country. Then you have the first indicator. Second, you can have as many indicators as possible. When we'll be looking at the central role of indicators in monitoring, we'll now see how each one is coming clear. Then the outcome now is also another development objective. One, for this particular project, will be focusing on improved child care, nutrition, and health services. Then improved, let me see, do I have improved income generation capacity for women? And what are the indicators? Have been put the numbers there of children reached by the services, which services, whichever services we are going to see, and the number of women reached by the services. Where do we get this information? In annual project report, in the annual project report, and the assumptions are: one, UNICEF maintains interest in partnership with the project, which means this project is being done by UNICEF. So UNICEF does not lose
Mr. Wesonga, you are not audible. You have disappeared.
Hello, is it Mr. Sunga's network or our network?
If you can be audible and I can hear you, I think the problem is on his side. That's why he's,
I think someone who could be having his phone number.
well, let's just give him time. He will come. He will join in.
Okay, fine.
sorry, 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 delegates. I lost my net.
No, we understand. Yeah, no problem.
This technology sometimes can be very, very frustrating. Sorry for that. I have to change the network. You know, Safaricom, since the Gen Z came on the street, they've been having a few challenges here and there. Now, as we continue now on our logical framework sample, now the project output, we have the output and the activities here. So the output that now you, the project manager, will be responsible for. You'll be responsible for number one, under improved child care, nutrition, and health. Let me just go back to that slide so that you see what I'm talking. I'm talking the one that is in this first box. Oh, sorry. Yes, it can. About this, let me underline it. So that's what we have in the next. Under that, what output do we have? Establish micronutrient program. This is what you need to be established. They have also given for each number of children, number of health day outreach efforts launched, number of and established micronutrient program. We have number of vitamins A capsules, iron tablets distributed, percentage of salt iodized. Very good. And the source of verification for each project monitoring survey, household survey, project monitoring reports, survey sample of salt stone. Now, these are the things that you'll be, how you'll be verifying about this particular intervention and the given indicators. The verification is in respect to the indicator, but the indicators are in respect to the intervention. Then you have improved income generation capacity for women. So we have established women's income component, which means if you are the program manager, we'll want you to say, to give us this output. The three for this program. Number one, you'll have established community-based childcare program. You'll have established micronutrient program. You'll have established women income program. And this is how the indicators. Now, what activities are to do? Under improved childcare nutrition and health program services, and under the output established community-based childcare program, you do what? Community-based growth monitoring program. You undertake that. This is the activity you carry out every morning as you report to work with your team. This is what the things now they should be doing. The Health Day outreach program. This is the things that they'll be doing. The activities now list very, very clearly. And under the indicators, instead of now having the indicator, we have now the input. And I just copied the budget in that format. It has, the whole budget was $42 million. And you could put the budget there. Actually, under the resource, you have the budget and then the assumptions. You list this for each and every activity under that. Now, this sample you have seen, it introduces now us to the logical framework, the log framework. It is an IT tool. It's a program that I've used to bring up this sample, and I want to explain something very brief on this so that we have something to take home. The Log Framework 3.1 is an open source tool, and I did mention that it is developed by European Union, and it's used for development of projects or development activities. What it does is that with this logical framework, you can develop a well-formed project that is easy to manage and that will help you to achieve your objectives. Actually, now the same tool now is just taking us back. You have to design your project's long-term and short-term objectives, activities, inputs, and how they relate to one another. They help you now plan what we call key moments, process and activities. Milestones become very easy. And the designs project's budget and how many resources will be needed for each activity and output. It also helps you to develop a monitoring system for your project and the tools to follow up how outputs and objectives are being achieved. With this tool now, you are just moving from paper to pen to paper, but now you are using system. It has incorporated new features. In fact, almost 70% more features than were in if you're using paper logical framework. You're able to develop risk monitoring tools that can be used over the course of your project to track how your project could be influenced by outside factors. It can also use to help identify the location of your target groups and working areas in Bing Map. So they use a Bing Map, which is embedded for ease of reference. And then it develops a professional and convincing funding application. When you're using a log framework as a tool, it becomes very great. And then support the International Aid Transparency Initiative and creates the National Aid Transparency Initiative activity and organization files at the push of a button. You can create that. Now, The thing that I may not have mentioned in a very deliberate set on the logical framework is how do you come up with an objective, or what is the difference between impact objective and output objective. But in a nutshell, we have done how they operate because at the level at which they operate. The only great thing you need to differentiate at this particular point is that we have the two development objectives which are higher than the project objectives, which the project manager and the program manager will be responsible for. Now, sorry, that one is not. Now, this is how the tool looks appears. It uses a menu. How do you get it? One, Google, go to Google and input LogFramer, particularly 3.1. This image will come out. To download. If you have the rights and privileges to install on your computer, you can. You cannot use it on Android phone. They have not established the format for Android phone, but you can use it in a computer. Once you have it downloaded and installed, you'll open a new one. When you run it, let me run one, just a minute. Let me see if I can run one. Just a minute, let me see if I can run one. Let me run one from my computer so that you see how it is coming up. Allow me to see if it is running. Window, which window? Yes, mine has opened, but with the Google Meet I cannot manipulate. So it has a menu on the top far. In that ribbon, it is just like the word. Oh, my audio is breaking. Sorry. Just like the Word document or Excel, on the ribbon, it has file, text, items, and reports. Now, under file, we have a new page, new project, open project, save project, close. You have save, then we have and under the documents. Next to the documents, we have import or export. Import or export, which you can now import either Word document or you can import Word document or export a Word document, and you can import the logical framework or export. And then you have the projects here, which is the open, and then we have under the mode, we have the basic and advanced. I've chosen the advanced because of the obvious reason for better learning. Then under the mode we have activity of IET organization. Then under the settings, I see you can maybe see the settings. The settings there. It gives you, if you click on the settings, it gives you, under the setting we have the organization. First is the organization, where you put a dialog box coming up that gives you what's the details about your organization. And then under the settings, you can now have the theme, which you want to take, the scheme 1, scheme 2. There are several schemes. Let me see if it will be able to pick that. I'm having a challenge with the what? Google Meet. Google Meet is very limiting. I don't know how we manage. No problem. What we'll do with this particular application, I would invite you that you download it, you install in your machine, and then maybe you can have a day just to recap based on what you have on your part, because the structures that are appearing are very small and you may not actually be following, particularly if they are not very visible. Under the settings, you have the language, then you have the about log frame. Then you go to the text. Text, it gives you again, where is it? Sorry, I'm trying to see if I can have the next window. Yeah, under the text on the ribbon, it also gives you several features: cut, copy, paste, the font size, and then the third item on the menu is the items. Items give you how you can add, how you can copy, and then the reports. What kind of reports can you generate using this particular tool? So it gives you quite a number of reports that you may want to have. For instance, you will have a report on the logical framework itself, the planning, the budget, and the report you have the logical framework, the planning, the budget, the performance, the indicators, questionnaire, the risks. You will have the target group intervention zone, and then the Microsoft Office that has been implemented there report. We have Word, where you can now export your logical framework, or export planning, export performance measurement framework, export risk table, export assumption table, export partner information, list of targets. And then you have the Excel. You can export log frame. You can export budget. You can export monitoring tool. Yeah, the very important thing now about this tool is that you can now generate a monitoring tool and export. Now below it, below the ribbon, you have now a starter menu. Starter menu, we have the project. You can be seeing now we have the project, a log frame, planning, and budget. Now, this being the home page, you put the project title here, you just type, and then the short abbreviation, and then you come and see the project information, generally the status. Is it at identification stage? Is it at implementation stage? Is it at completion stage? Is it post-completion? Is it cancelled or suspended? You tick either as the project progresses. And then you come to project description, where you have now a window to see what you can, you put here the entire project description, any literature that you have there. And then you come, of course, you would have, I've missed something, the duration. The duration is in days, weeks, months, or years. So if you put your project there, it gives you the duration. If it's in years, then it will be able to pick. If it's in a month, be able to pick. Once you have your description, it entered there, you go to the target group. The target group, it gives you to feature out what target group will you be working with. How do you add target group? You click on the target group, this tab here. It gives you an open sheet. Then you see when you start clicking on it, you can type. There's on the top ribbon, there's a yellow, a small thing with yellow, a small arrow with yellow. I don't know if it's visible on your part. Once you click on it, then it will give you room to, it will generate another dialog box that you can work on. Anyway, those are just a few features about the logical framework, and it's good that it's a tool. The reason why I mentioned this because it is now summarizing the entire logical framework that we have talked foundation. Let me go back to my presentation as it were, so that I wrap up. Where are we? So, if you have the logical framework with you and you have put it well, one critical thing I want you to remember is how the additional dialog box comes in if you have the advanced section. If you look at this example here, I've shown, it's highlighting an assumption. Once you highlight it, it brings you another dialog box below the whole logical framework, and it gives you the ready type, has the assumption, what are the reasons for that assumption, how to validate the assumption, the impact description, the response strategy, how are you going to respond to that, and who will be the owner. And it happens that for every indicator, every means of verification, every assumption, when you go to the goal, the activity, it always adds you another dialog box to enter more detail. When you get to the activities, this additional dialog box will help you put now the monitoring date. When will the activity be done? Who will do it? What preparations are required? What resources that will go in? Which means the logical model, it requires, just to discuss about the logic model, particularly the log framer, it requires its own session. But it will be good, I'll invite you, it will be good if you can download and install on a computer and fill in some aspects. I'll share my numbers there on the group, so that we can do practice, because this is a practical part. I have 2 practical sessions for this training: filling in the log framer and filling in the indicator sheets for the data collection and everything. So those will be my assignments, and once will be done, my assignments will be good to go. I know it's a bit, with the no much manipulation for now, it becomes a bit difficult to illustrate some of the things theoretically unless it's practice. So that's why I'm inviting you to it's an open source tool. You can have it on your computer. Pick any logical framework, feed in. I'll be able to help out until you perfect. By the time we say bye for this training, I'll be happy if you can design your project or program on this tool, because when it will be coming now for you taking up the assignment on monitoring and evaluation, you will be a mile ahead of others. Thank you, and God bless you. Diana.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, any comment, any questions, any quarrels, any cries?
Thank you,
Are you able
Mr. Chris, for your elaborative presentation. You've really brought out this thing in a very good way, and the practical part is the way to go. And as you have said, starting with downloading of this software is the best thing to go. We will need to do it and have it on our PCs, so that I think next time we can be able to follow through, or we can now do it practically. My question is also on this one, the logical framework and the conceptual framework. What is the difference?
the conceptual framework is a broader way of looking. How do you understand the task? How do you conceptualize? How do you understand the task?
Yes.
And the framework is just the beacons within which you're going to fill that. So we have
Right.
different beacon structure, like the conceptual framework of a road
Mm.
may be different from the conceptual framework of a house, but they are all conceptual. How do you understand? So
Mhm.
now the conceptual framework is giving you the entire perspective of the whole project
Mhm.
and has different components depending now on the model. Yes, we have the framework and the model. What's the
Mhm.
model? The model is
Mm.
now the ultimate design that has been picked by the stakeholder to be used. So
Okay.
just a framework, it gives you the guideposts where to put, like it tells you what to have, but the model, where do you put what you have?
Okay. Okay.
So the logical framework, it gives you both the model and the framework because it's now telling you where to put the impact goal, where to put the indicators, where to put the
Mm.
means of verification, and how do you
Mm.
go about creating like key moments.
Correct.
Like that. Thank you.
Yeah, because I've followed keenly and I've seen there are some similarities between, but as you say, actually, conceptual framework, because me, I've done a lot of conceptual frameworks. When you are talking of objectives, you talk of intervening variables and independent and dependent variables, and then you talk of outcomes. If there is anything to do with limitations and what have you, it has to be. Otherwise, I'm grateful. I've gotten you right. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you. Wilson, your hand is raised. Wilson Mungai.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Bwana Chris. I am grateful. I may not have a question. I wanted to acknowledge and appreciate the good tenets that you have shared with us, and actually very elaborate and understandable concepts that you have shared, and more so even putting it to a practical scenario. That's what I needed to appreciate. But my question on that would be on the program that you have indicated like now in terms of running the frameworks. Do we need to download a certain program, or is it available in the MS Office that we currently use in the office?
No,
Thank you.
this one is not in MS Office. You need to download. You just go to the portal Google DocFramer 3.1. It will come
Uh-huh.
out very well. If I can try it here, you'll see. It's just it's
Okay,
one
kindly
of
you can.
yeah, it's one of the it's an open. Is it open source? Yeah, it's an open source, and you can have it downloaded freely and very easy. It's not actually hard to have it. Once you download it, where is it? Yes, here it is. Once you download it, you can now you can now see where to get it, and there you are. You can now open your program. Once you open it, it gives you a room where to download. So you can download from here, and then it's easy to install. In fact, the 2.1 was a bit difficult, but now you can have it downloaded. You see, I've just clicked there, and it's giving a window already that is showing where you can get it. It's actually open source, and you see now the image has come about the planning, the budget, everything. It's a very nice tool. You can get it. It's an open source. Yes, Wilson again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Most welcome. Any other question, comment, cry, complain, critique? All admitted.
Oh, thank you so much. Hello.
Hello, Samuel.
Oh, thank you so much. I just want to appreciate what I'm learning in relation to what I've been doing in the few days ago. There's a project that we are doing with together with the Kenya Medical Research Institute, and when the moment I've seen how you've given an example of the logical framework, it has given me a clear picture of what we are doing in the field. So like the program, the survey that we're doing, we are evaluating the impact of the school feeding program on various outcomes, such as students' education status, nutrition status, that is, on education outcomes such as attendance and retention. So actually, I'm just happy because I'm learning what I'm doing in the field. So it's to me, I'm happy. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you.
Good. You download it, try it out, and the rest will be history.
And maybe just a question.
Yes, Samuel.
This framework, the logical framework, is it it's a tool that it's used to analyze the data that has been collected or to evaluate the data that has been collected in the field?
No,
at what time does it come into practice now?
No, it comes during design. Like when you have been invited to do an evaluation of the project, you need to go to that proposal document that was there initially, and then you enter the data, relevant data here, and then you follow how the activities were happening. You backdate it. Like if it has happened 5 years ago, you go and assume the project started 5 years ago, you update everything from the monitoring team. And then you'll go out to collect data as per the indicator. Now, the data collection as per the indicator will be based on the data collection tools you have. If you're using a survey, if you're using the tools like the Kobo Toolbox, Interview, then the data you'll have collected, because this one is just for design to help you to know where to go and how to go there. But what you do in terms of data collection, you use another one that we covered last week. And
all right.
Collection, you can now use another one again. We mentioned last week for data analysis. You see, this one is for the design and monitoring and implementation. Once you have implemented, it ceases to be useful to you, but it gives you now a better guidance of what will be now the consultants will be collecting data. If you have this one, if you are doing a consultancy, you'll have it easy. If it's not there, if you develop it, it will help you achieve your assignment very. If your assignment was to go for 6 months and you have this one, I can assure you in 3 months you are done, dusted, and you are in cost. I'm just waiting for the salary. Okay.
All right, thank you. And then lastly, I would like to add one example of the tools for data collection that we are currently using, which wasn't included in your example last week. There's a tool called a REDCap.
REDCap.
Yes, REDCap.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tool that we are using to collect data. So it's also an example of a data collection, an electronic data collection device.
Okay.
Just to add on what we had last week.
Thank you for that addition.
Thank you.
I'm already seeing it. It looks very, very nice. It looks very nice. REDCap. Ah. Okay, good. Thank you. Any other question, comment? Sabina Musangi?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate the lessons which you are taking us through. There is a project we are doing on data collection, and I'm trusting if we apply the tool which you are giving us, at least we will get the information which we have been were looking for the longest time. Thank you so much. I appreciate what you are doing for us.
Most welcome. Yeah, Diana. Is Diana in the house?
Yeah,
I'm just listening and getting the insights from members.
if
If you still have a question, you can just unmute and ask your question.
in the meantime,
In the meantime, as usual, the attendance register is already shared in the group. Do not miss out on signing it before you log out.
any other question?
Any other question or comment is
I'm seeing,
welcome.
Abdi Shukur Hissi. What was your question, sir? You're studying project management? Yes. Okay. I'm looking at the chat. Sawa. If there are no more questions, then we can.
Yes.
Members remember
to sign the attendance register.
Question now, but I wanted to appreciate. Yeah.
Most welcome, sir. That's great.
Thank you, members, for the contribution. Thank you so much, Mr. Chris, for that wonderful presentation, including examples and where to access these resources. So I think we've gained a lot from this class. We can always go back on YouTube and take it a step at a time. Where you haven't understood, just kind of go through it at your own free time to understand where you feel you need more clarification on. Also, Mr. Chris is also part of our community, so you can always access him with any question and concern. So let's appreciate us and let's appreciate the trainer as well for today's session. This has been a practical session indeed. Remember, before you leave, sign the attendance register. It won't be shared after the class. Also, we will not be having any other makeup class. We normally just have our sessions once and then proceed to the next course. For those who are taking the integrated strategic planning course, remember we have a class tomorrow. I think we'll have 2 of them tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. Maybe in your email, we'll give you the full details on the 2 classes that are left. If we are not locking anyone out, I would wish to call it an evening, but I'll still give you a few minutes for those who still have concern. Ensure you don't leave at this time, because now we are not allowing people to join.
We have Maggie Shemerirwe. She's asking about what tools